Ladies and gentlemen, finding an affordable knife that is durable, strong, and good quality is sometimes hard to come around. But could this D2 Civivi Zizzle that costs between 15 to 25 US dollars be that great bargain we've been looking for? Or is it just another flop? So in today's video, we'll put it to the test to see how the Zizzle holds up after cutting, chopping, being thrown around, and being run over by a truck. Will this knife survive the beating? And also, how does it compare to the popular and also budget-friendly Ozark D2 knife? Let's find out. So right out of the box, the D2 blade is quite sharp and has no problem cutting paper like it's butter. But how will it hold up after cutting some wood? Will it still be sharp? So in the first test, we cut away on some pine wood, which is a fairly soft wood, but nevertheless, you're still putting some force to cut through, which in most cases will put some stress and will begin to wear out the edge of the blade. So after numerous passes of the blade on the wood and a bunch of shavings later, it feels like the knife is still cutting through the wood as it did the first time. Now this is a perfect way to test out the blade, as you're able to tell if the blade will hold its sharpness for a long time or not. This way you'll have an idea on how often you'll need to sharpen it. Now before we do the paper test to see how this blade is holding up, we'll begin the second test of the blade, which is to chop away on this piece of wood. So this time we'll start chopping away on this piece of wood until we're able to chop off a piece. Now the main reason we're doing this test is because sometimes you may be out in your backyard or camping and you come across a branch you may want to cut. Well, you want to see if this knife will cut those branches and still remain useful and sharp after you're done cutting the branch. So once again, after many chops later, we're finally able to cut off a piece. So now we do the paper test, and right off the bat you can tell that this cuts through that piece of paper without a problem. This has no problems cutting the piece of paper even after chopping away on some pine wood. So I'm very impressed by how the sharpness of the blade has held up to this point. This, to be honest, doesn't even feel like a $15 to $25 knife. But don't tell Civivi though, or they'll hike up the price. So now let's start with the next test, which is where we drop the knife to the concrete to see if the tip of the blade will survive. Will this bend or break? What do you think? Let's find out. So the Zizzle has no problem piercing through the pine board. That's not even a challenge for this knife. Now for the real test, we'll be dropping it at around what is the average height of about 3 feet, which is where I feel you can probably drop it when you pull it out of your pocket. So we're not dropping it from the top of the house or anything of that sort. The test is more of a real life scenario, which is around 2 to 3 feet of height when you pull it out of your pocket. And right off the bat, we can see that there is a minor damage to the tip. Nothing too extreme though. This obviously holds up much better than some other knives I've tested out that are made from some other affordable steels, like the 5CR15 MOV, where some of those blades haven't survived this test. Those tips tend to break or bend horribly. So this one here survived the drop test. Again, not bad for a budget knife at all. Hardly any damage to the tip. Next, we'll keep throwing it around a little bit more, but this time to see how the scales hold up. These are made from G10, a high pressure fiberglass laminate, which provides a strong, lightweight, and comfortable grip. So they're not your average cheap plastic scales you find on a lot of the budget knives. This is a better quality. So after throwing it around multiple times, we can see that the scales do look scratched, and you can obviously tell because they're black scales. If they would have been some sort of earth tone, maybe the scratches wouldn't be that visible. But these are minor scratches. They're not too deep like in some other cheap plastic scales. These are minor scratches that you can hardly notice on the surface of the scale. So this is another great benefit from this budget knife. And now for the ultimate test, running it over with my pickup. Now, my pickup is a Chevy 1500 that weighs close to about 4,000 pounds. So let's see if the knife is able to survive or if it'll bend or break. Now the first test will be done with the knife in a closed position. The reason for this test is to see what would happen to the knife in a real life scenario if you accidentally dropped it while crossing the street or something of that sort. That's the point of the test, to have some real life scenarios play out and see what's the outcome. So we'll go over it not once, but twice. And after the second pass, we can see that the knife didn't really experience any real damage to it. So now we'll do the test, but this time with the knife in an open position, to see if by any chance not only the knife or the scales get damaged, but also to see if the liner or the ceramic ball bearings or the pivot pin suffer any damage. And once again, we'll run it over 2 times. And now let's take a look at the result. Miraculously, this knife did not break after further inspection. I'm able to see that there wasn't really any visible damage aside from a little bit of debris and the tire tread marks. Now, I did feel that the liner lock was slightly harder to push aside to fold the knife, So maybe there could have been some minor warping to the liner, but in order to confirm that, we'll take the knife apart to inspect. So after taking the knife apart to further inspect and see if any damage was done, I found that the ceramic ball bearings had no visible damage. The liner also showed no sign of warping, but either way, I still proceeded to slightly try to straighten it out just to see if that helped. I put everything back together and the knife started to perform once again like it did the first time. So the only downside to it is just the visible scratches because of the color of the scales, but that's not really something to be too concerned about. Overall, I will rate this knife as a 5 out of 5 because of its affordability, durability, and aesthetics. It's hard to beat the price and quality you're getting here. Now, if we compare it to another budget-friendly D2 blade like the Ozark, I would still prefer the Civivi. Yes, the Civivi is more expensive, but it is still affordable compared to the other knives. Also, the aesthetics look better in my opinion on the Zizzle. The blade is slightly larger on the Ozark, but not by much. The grip feels much better on the Zizzle than on the Ozark plastic scales. But this is subjective and everyone has their own opinion. So would I recommend the Zizzle? And the answer is absolutely. I feel that you're getting a great quality knife for an affordable price. So if you were considering on getting the Zizzle, maybe this video has helped you make up your mind. Anyways, that is all I have for y'all today. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, have yourself a great day.